Hey Chaotic Crew, Brian here. I've got another new spicy deck tech. I hope you had a great Halloween yesterday, but Magic has already been previewing, spoiling for the past week or so, their new Foundation set, which is going to be in Standard for 5 years, which is pretty unheard of, right? But a lot of great new commanders are coming out of it as well. So I wanted to tackle one of those here. This one is Alesha, who laughs at fate. And the name of the deck is Oh Lord, She Coming, just because she's going to be swinging in every single turn she can, so your opponents are going to have to get ready for that. Let's take a look at what Alesha's doing here. It is a black and a red for a 2/2 legendary human warrior. First strike, whenever Alesha attacks, she gets a 1/1 counter, which is it's going to be continuously growing, which is great. And then at the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, return target creature card with mana value less than or equal to Alesha's power from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you do want to attack a lot to get your power up, but you also, the raid trigger is at the end of the turn, so it doesn't really matter how many times you attack as long as her power gets there. So you could go a few different ways with this. You can go multiple combats, right, to buffer up a lot quicker and then get a bigger creature out. You could use other things like equipment or instants of sorceries to give her more power and get big things out, or you could just run a really low to the ground deck and be getting small things out of your battlefield, incrementally getting bigger, running a bunch of discard. You also want to be able to find ways to get cards into the graveyard, and the best way Rakdos can do that is discard, so that's a really great strategy here too. I think I'm doing, of course, the discard to get our creatures into the graveyard, but I'm also running mostly low to the ground creatures. There are a few heavy hitters in here, but I think this is definitely a more unique take on it and a fun build. As you can see here, I've got Tibble the Fiend-Blooded, which is one of my favorite planeswalkers in Magic. This card exactly, not just Tibble as a whole, but it's 2 mana for a 2 loyalty planeswalker, plus 1 to draw a card and discard a card at random. That's the main reason people don't really like this one too much, just because it's a random thing, and we're just having fun here. And if we get rid of one of our removal pieces or our Bard Wipe or whatever, it's not the worst thing in the world, but usually we're going to be discarding these creatures or cards we may not need in our hand, so pretty useful there. -4 deals damage to opponents. We don't really use that too much. And then -6 gains control of all creatures until end of turn. Untap them, they gain haste, so essentially an insurrection on a planeswalker. So Tibble can close the game if your opponents let him, and I don't think you'll ever get to ult with him in the deck, but the +1 is just really good and pretty repeatable as well. And, we do need a lot of creatures here to get the game plan going. We have 26 total, some really good ones. We have a few Enter the Battlefield abilities. A Cursed Marauder, makes everyone sack a creature. Same with a Plague Crafter, which is really good. We're also running Charming Scoundrel, which is a bit modal. We can do whatever we want there. Plundering Barbarian's good removal. Carter gets everyone off our back. We have some more fun ones, like Life of the Party, to get our opponents starting to attack each other, right? And we're going to have a decent amount of creatures, so Life of the Party will be pretty big for us. We'll probably die from attacking, right? And then we'll get to bring it back with Alesha, so very fun there. Jaxus gives us clones. Inti is also discard. Hanweir gives us, tokens as well, but also because we have the melded card, we'll be able to be making some pretty strong creatures. Gray Merchant just has some life gain and some damage dealing. Ember Captain to give us the Monarchy. And then we have some warrior/human support cards. Rushblade Commander will give it haste. Riders of the Mark is just really strong. Mindblade Render can help us draw cards. Ogre Battlemaster is good to give our commander and any other creatures we get haste. Mirage Phalanx can help blink things as well. Professional Facebreaker always really solid in any deck that you can run it in. And then a few better cards like Roaming Throne, of course, will be doubling our commander's in-step trigger, so we'll be able to get 2 creatures back, which is really nice. And then Shadowgrange Archfiend gets rid of creatures that are on our opponent's side, and since we are discarding a lot, it has that madness cost that helps out. And then, of course, the infamous Cruel Claw, just because we're attacking and we can get it back constantly. And it's also sort of a discard outlet, right, if we want it to be. If we don't get anything, we don't have to use its ability, but this sort of draws some removal away from our commander, I feel like, and can also be pretty useful, so I like it a lot here. And then sorceries, right, we got Blasphemous Act, Faithless Looting, Feed the Swarm, Jessica's Will, Kindred Dominance, Lively Dirge, Read the Bones, Unearth. Not a ton going on here. Unearth is a good way to get our commander, but also a lot of the lower level creatures I just went over from our graveyard to the battlefield. We do have Lively Dirge, which can help with that too. It actually might not be a bad idea to add a couple more cards that can bring creatures back to the battlefield. This is sort of what I wanted to do. You know, we're only running a couple board wipes because we are such a creature-heavy deck. It wouldn't hurt to run more, right? Because we do have some graveyard recurrence, so not terrible. But Kindred Dominance will pretty much choose mainly humans or warriors, whichever one benefits us the most, right? And we can go from there. Blasphemous Act also really strong. Jessica's Will, not, you know, amazing in this deck, but of course, always amazing card in general, so just keep it there. And then Faithless Looting helps us, you know, discard and draw cards. Read the Bones, drawing cards as well, which is nice. Some instants, Big Score, Unexpected Windfall are both, you know, great cards to have in here that discard, generate treasures, and demand answers, throw a possibility, doing some of the same stuff. And then we have, of course, removal like Bedevil. Smite the Deathless is really good in a Rakdos deck to get some exile and deal with indestructible creatures because they can really struggle with that. And then, of course, Withering Torment's really good too. Untimely Malfunction can destroy artifact, or it can change the target of a spell with a single target, or it can make, you know, some creatures not be able to block. So all those three modes are useful in this deck, and so this makes this sort of a slam dunk. Rakdos Charm can actually win the game out of the spot if your opponent's ramping up the board on tokens. It can also destroy artifacts or exile our player's graveyard. And then, of course, Blood for the Blood God. If we're swinging out with our low-to-the-ground creatures, they might all die, or, you know, maybe someone board wipes and we have this in hand for 3 mana, you know, deal 8 damage and draw 8 cards is pretty dang good. So solid there. Artifacts, of course, we're running the Arcane Signet, the Soul Ring, the Talisman, Rakdos Signet as well. We are running Heraldic Banner too, just because it gives our commander more power, right? You could also run Patchwork Banneret, but yeah, whichever one fits your bill. This sort of can get us any color we want, and is nice there. Obsidian Battle Axe can give our commander haste and buffs it up as well. Basilisk Collar gives our commander Death Touch and Lifelink. Death Touch is really neat because we already have First Strike, and a commander with First Strike and Death Touch is really annoying to block. And especially with the new block rulings, Death Touch and First Strike is an even more deadly combo than before. Shadow Spear giving it Trample and Lifelink, so our commander might be getting to like 6 or 7, you know, power, where our opponents might want to chump block it, so giving it Trample and having that Lifelink is good there. I've been trying to add more lifelink to my decks recently just because a lot of decks do a lot of damage, right? And you having the life gain doesn't win the games, but helps keep you in the game for longer, so that's always helpful there. Key to the City is a discard outlet that makes our commander unblockable, so very solid there as well. And then, of course, we've got the Greaves and the Swifties. But a fun ad, right, or a couple fun ads here. Brass's Tunnel Grinder. We are going to be, you know, getting things in the graveyard. This is another discard draw outlet, and then eventually it transforms into a land where, you know, when you cast a permanent spell, you can discover, which is really nice, and we do have a ton of permanents in here to discover, so very solid there. And then the fun tool I was mentioning before, Dissection Tool, is also giving our commander Death Touch and Lifelink and +2/+2, but when it, you know, enters, you manifest Dread. So you essentially look at the top 2 cards, put one in the graveyard, one on the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature, and then you automatically equip Dissection Tools to that, but you could sacrifice the creature that it's equipped to equip it to your commander automatically. So you're essentially, for 5 mana, getting an auto-equip to your commander, milling 2 cards, and it gets those things. I think that's worth it for the 5 mana, right? So very solid there. And then some enchantments we have as well. Bastion of Remembrance is a good way to drain our opponents. Raider Spoils is solid, right? It's giving our creatures +1/+0, which is amazing for our commander. And then whenever a warrior deals combat damage to a player, we might pay a life to draw a card. Rising of the Day gives our creatures haste and buffs our commander. And then Sticky Fingers makes it so that when, you know, whatever it's attached to deals damage, you make a treasure. And then when it dies, we draw a card. And then the lands aren't too, you know, I mean, the main thing to look at is Arena of Glory, which is important. Cavern of Souls, if you have a copy, you can proxy it in as well. Hanware Battlements is good to give us our stuff haste too. Myriad Landscape is good. You can run a bit more utility lands here. There's still plenty of room with the mountains and the swamps to take out, add stuff like Ghost Quarter, Scavenger Grounds, or maybe not Scavenger Grounds because you don't want to exile your own graveyard, but any other utility lands that can help deal with your opponent's stuff is always helpful. But let's dive into play testing it. This is a pretty solid deck. So Exotic Orchard, Swamp. I would keep this hand if our opponents had red, right? That would give us both of our colors, and we just need one more for the Heraldic Banner / our commander. So that's pretty neat there too. I'd say we keep it. So, and then we draw the Tainted Peak too, which is pretty great. So we'll play the Swamp, pass, turn 2. Okay, we draw a Mountain as well. So just starting off pretty well. We'll play the Mindblade Render, and this is whenever your opponents are dealt combat damage. If any was dealt by a warrior, draw a card and lose a life. So we might be able to attack it next turn if no one has a blocker to draw a card and lose one, which is always helpful. Turn 3, we can play the Heraldic Banner or the Commander. The Commander doesn't have haste, so I say we go ahead and play the Commander. We can play the Heraldic next turn, or potentially a discard outlet like Chainer. But then we go ahead and, you know, swing the Mindblade Runner. Hopefully we get to draw a card. It's a land, which is good to get off the top. We also get another land, so we'll play it. So this one, this is great. Chainer's amazing here because we can discard a card. We don't have to target anything. It just cast a creature spell. So we'll go ahead and play the Chainer, right? It's uncounterable because we're probably choosing humans here with the Cavern of Souls with what we had in our hand. And now if we had a lower, power creature in our hand that Alesha could get back for us, that would definitely be helpful. You don't need to do that right now. You could have also played the Heraldic Banner, save mana for Soul Shatter or Chaos Warp. But yeah, so this is a bit of a slower game. We're waiting to draw some of those card draw engines that we have in the deck, unfortunately. But once we can get things going, our Alesha is going to start getting bigger and bigger. To rebuild the board, we do have Mirage Phalanx, which can help do that. Right, and then if we do get board wiped and our commander can come back out, they can get back some of these cards out as well. So I'm not too worried about it. Let's try another start. Maybe, and I don't like Soul Ring, so we'll just another start here. I like this. We have Cavern of Souls in the Swamp to get us going. We do need another land, but hopefully we can draw that. Let's go ahead and start. Basilisk Collar's not bad. We'll play the Cavern of Souls. We will name warriors because we have more warriors in our hand right now. And we'll go ahead and play the Basilisk Collar. We'll draw Tybalt. All right. And play Mindblade Render. Hopefully we can deal some damage next turn. Draw a card. We get the Tainted Peak, so very lucky draw for us that we're able to do that. And then, of course, we want to get the commander, so let's get the commander out. Turn 4. Let's say that we didn't get to draw the card that next turn. We will play this Mountain. We do get, so that is a nice lucky land drop as well. Now we have some options. We can play Embroiled Captain here. It makes us the Monarch. We can play Ogre Battle Driver. We can do Brass's Tunnel Grinder. We can do Hanware Garrison. So my thought here is, right, this gets cards equal to the mana value equal to or less than her power. So we probably tap 3 for the Brass's Tunnel Grinder, discarding the Hanware Garrison and the Embroiled Captain, right? And then we will draw 3 cards. So that gives us some more stuff here. We'll attack in with Alesha. It gets chump blocked, whatever. It's a 3/3 now. End step, we get the Hanware Garrison, and we get a counter on Brass's Tunnel Grinder. That's probably how this turn would go. Next turn, we'll have enough power to get Embroiled Captain back, and that'll be helpful for us to keep us drawing cards. We'll probably play the Ogre Battle Driver next turn, or actually we might save that for if Alesha dies or whatnot. But yeah, Tybalt's not bad here as well to help get rid of, because we don't really need most of the cards in our hand. So this is actually perfect for Tybalt to shine, where we can start generating lots of card draw. Let's take this next turn out. We draw another land. Let's play the Mountain. And then, let's play the Tybalt. And let's roll a dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6 is a re-roll. Let's see. Oh, okay, never mind. We'll roll 4-sided dice. So we rolled a 1. We'll discard the Ogre Battle Driver to draw a card. And we have Hanweir Battleman, so if we didn't play the land, that could have been good. But next turn, we can definitely play it and transform it. So that is pretty neat there. It also gives haste for a commander if it dies, so just helping us there. And now Brass's Tunnel Grinder will get another thing here. I would go ahead and put, the Basilisk Collar on whoever and start going to town. If people don't want to block Alesha, we might be able to draw cards. And we're going to get some tokens here as well, so that could be nice. So there's a lot of upside we have here. Obviously, if someone board wipes, which they could as well, or they could get rid of our commander. We're not in the best position, but we're also not in a terrible position either. So we'll do one more game to see where we are. So this deck, because it is low to the ground, is hard, but it does have, it's more of like a mid-game low to the ground deck. It's hard to tell exactly how strong it is without knowing what else is on the battlefield, but I think it's working how we want it to work, right? We do only have a 1 lander here, so we will get our free mulligan. I don't like Soul Rain, so we'll count this as our free mulligan. We get a 2-lander here, which is not bad. Not ideal, but not bad. I say we don't have any 2-drops, though, so I would probably end up mulliganing this to 6. Okay, and we'll take this one. Let's get the Brass's Tunnel Grinder out to the bottom, and then start the day off with Talisman of Indulgence. Let's go and play this Dragon Skull Summit tapped. Next turn, we'll play a Mountain. We'll tap 2 for the Signet. Next turn, we'll play the Swamp. We'll tap 2 for the Talisman. And then tap 3 for the Commander. We don't need to play the Lightning Greaves. We don't have anything our commander can get out right now anyway, so having these answers up for next turn is going to be really helpful. If we do have to discard something, we can key to the city it as well. So next turn, we don't get anything to discard, so I do think we play the Greaves, right? And we'll go ahead and equip so that people don't want to destroy our commander. If they do get rid of it, we'll just play her next turn and keep some answers up, but this way we can go ahead and start building her power, right, by swinging in for 3. And this is turn 4 right now, so we go into turn 5. We draw another land, which really not ideal, and we will be playing the Key to the City. Doesn't really make our commander unblockable anymore with the Greaves, but not terrible. We still have some stuff. We can actually go ahead and pay 3 to search our library for a card, put it into the graveyard, and then shuffle. So we could get something to the graveyard if we wanted to with Lively Dirge. So actually, I think we're gonna do that, and we'll pay 3 mana, and that way we have 3 mana open for an answer if we need it. Let's see what we're gonna get to our graveyard. So our commander is gonna be a 4/4 at the end of the turn. So we need 4-drop or less. I think the biggest thing we need is card draw. I'd probably put Emerald Captain into the graveyard. Other good options would be the Carter, Doomscourge, if our opponent had a stacked board, right? Another good option would be the... I think, obviously we're setting up for next turn, right? So Professional Facebreaker, not the best because it takes a couple turns to get that card draw going. Probably... the infamous Cruel Claw. Yeah, but I think Emerald's the best here because it does something immediately for us, and it also is going to make it so our opponents want to attack us less because they're going to get damaged for it. So, and I am going to play the Key to the City as well, because when we get this back at our end step, right, I can tap this to discard something, but then I can pay 2 mana when we untap it to draw an extra card, so that can be helpful there. So we will definitely be moving to our end step, drawing from being the Monarch, and perfect. So we can, on our opponent's turn, we can make someone's unblockable thing go at someone else, and then when, next turn, and we untap everything, we'll go ahead and keep 2 tapped so we can draw an extra card, and then take our turn. And we're actually in a really solid state with these 2 cards we just drew. So... NT very solid. and Plundering Barbarian also really good, and we can start getting the thing going here. Getting the Monarchy was definitely the play. This deck, you know, I think maybe a little rough around the edges, but I think it does what you want it to do. You're going to keep growing your commander, get these small creatures out, and it's all about getting those creatures into the graveyard. So you want to make sure in your opening hand you have a way to discard and draw, or, you know, put those creatures in the graveyard, and you also want creatures that you can get back out. And once you get this engine going, right, where you are drawing cards, you are discarding stuff, then the value is going to be there. You can only do it once a turn, so you don't need a ton, right? You just need enough to make sure your deck is functioning properly. But I think we did a good showcase here. I hope you guys enjoyed the commander, enjoyed the preview. If you're going to build Alesha, who laughs at fate, let me know what you would put in. Let me know what you'd take out, and I'd love to hear your feedback. But yeah, hope you had a great Halloween as well. I'm going to keep on making some more Foundations deck techs for the following weeks, so make sure to stay tuned for those. And otherwise, yeah, have a great week, and I'll see you then. Bye.